WCLU news coverage of the 2022 primary election is brought to you in part by Walbert Trucking in Glasgow. Are you looking for a new career where you'll be a part of a family-owned business for over 50 years? Walbert Trucking is a trucking company based right here in Glasgow. With Walbert Trucking, you'll get full benefits, great pay, and 401k. And you'll be home daily. Unlimited possibilities await you. Apply today and become a member of the Walbert Trucking team. 106 Shawn Lane in Glasgow, 651-6784.
Welcome to our program today, Mr. David Steinhaus, Magistrate, District 4 candidate on the Republican ticket for this May primary in 2022. Welcome to our program.
Thank you, Brennan, and thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here and to be able to participate in the magistrate process. Absolutely.
So let's get a little bit some background on you. It's our understanding you're new to this process a little bit as far as running for this particular office. If you have run for the office before, let me know. But if not, if you're new to it, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a native of Minnesota, and although I've never been in a political office or a political campaign, I've served in many other civil academic groups and throughout the course of my life. So the being in front of the public and being in that leadership role is not new to me, but this particular avenue is. Since I've moved here to Glasgow, I've been here for about 24 years now. I've served with our Glasgow Scotty Band as their treasurer for 2 years, and I've worked with the maintenance tech at the First United Methodist Church, and all of those positions put me in a place of responsibility and trust, and I think that's important for the community to know that I do have a history of trustworthiness, and that's how I look at this campaign. I really feel like I want to be a candidate that rules with integrity, that is transparent to the extent that we can be. And I know I've said this on more than one occasion, if I have to lie to keep my job, I don't want it. And so I come to the public with an open slate and honesty and integrity. And that's what I hope we, as a group of council members, can actually present ourselves as. If we come before your program or if we're in the paper, I want to be there because we've done something right and we've done something good. Not that we've made an error or an omission or something like that. And so, yeah, let's do it right and do it for the people.
Sure. You talk about coming from Minnesota. That's an interesting perspective. A number of candidates that are running for local office, often tout that they're from their respective district or they've lived there for several years, which you've been in this community now, you said 24 years. That's quite a chunk of time to kind of get a good feel about it.
Right.
But as far as having that perspective, you still have a perspective that's different, a little bit of, unfamiliarity with the community, but you came in with a different set of eyes than someone who, say, is from here, has been raised here. What were some of those things you saw when you came to Glasgow initially?
Well, first of all, it's if you talk to the people here, you'll hear them talk of Glasgow as a small town or a small community. I grew up in a rural area of Minnesota. Our town was 1,300 people, as opposed to, what are we, about 15,000 here? And so this is a pretty big town for me. I like the way the city's laid out in that it's, we have a lot of the little neighborhoods that are tucked into cul-de-sacs, and for the most part you don't know they're there unless you go looking for them, which gives you a very nice sense of community and neighborhoods. I remember coming through the streets of Glasgow, and it was early on, and just driving down the road, this is my town. I like it here, and there's good people here. The greetings that I received from the clerk of court's office, of course we had to do all our name changing and licensing and whatnot, and just a very welcoming community, and very appreciative of that. I've worked with the school systems, both Glasgow and Barren County. I've driven bus for several years. So I've met a lot of the children, and I'm sure many of the parents have heard my name as their bus driver. So if there is that familiarity that I'm sure people will recognize as they start to look.
When you came to the community, you mentioned that you worked as a bus driver, you've been involved with the Scotty Band. You have had a presence with the education industry, if you will, not industry, but the education field. But as far as your career and what you've done for work, what's your expertise in?
I was raised on a farm in Minnesota, cash crop mostly, soybeans, corn, and when I was old enough, I started my own construction company and built homes, small apartment buildings, 12 units, and that sort of things, remodeling farm buildings and pole shed construction, those types of things up there. We made a decision as a family. I have 5 children, 4 girls and a boy, and we decided to come to Glasgow. We came when we did. My oldest daughter was just entering high school and wanted to give her that opportunity to start as a freshman here. And we decided to move south, and this is as far as we got. No particular reason. We toured the state from one end to the other on a trip when we first came and found the north end just a little too confining with the hollers, and when we got to the far west end with the lakes and far too many snakes for us, well, it's just not part of what we lived with up in Minnesota.
Yeah.
We're flatlanders up there. So Glasgow with the dual school systems and that competitiveness of the program looked like a good fit for my kids. I felt like they were going to get a good education here. Western's college next door is just a blessing for us. All of my students have graduated from Western. I've graduated from Western. I went back to school as a non-traditional student when I came here and finished my 4-year degree.
Right. As far as the local government involvement goes, is that something that you started paying attention to closely when you came to Glasgow, or is that something you've picked up on recently?
I was involved with the Chamber of Commerce back home, so that was some familiarity. I commander, chaplain with the American Sons of the American Legion. Wasn't in the military, but my parents were, so that allowed us to be part of that organization that supported the American Legion. But politics as a whole, I've taken an interest in, as I get older, I think I've got more time now to focus on it, and I think see the need for participation and just a willingness to serve in that capacity.
Sure. You're running currently for District 4 Magistrate, which obviously the incumbent for that district, Mr. Tim Coomer, is seeking re-election for that district. As far as approaching something, especially your first time running against an incumbent, sometimes can be difficult because of the establishment that, someone might have. People recognize their name, they're in the news a lot, what have you. What do you feel like going into this is unique about you, and why are you the right person for District 4 Magistrate?
I think I'm a good fit as magistrate in that I see the general public looking for transparency, and if you've driven on a school bus, you're transparent. Everything you do is recorded on camera, and so I'm not afraid to put my meetings on public television if that's what we need to do, or to present to the people the findings of our council, and I just get bits and pieces of it from the paper, the news, from the radio, and not all of it's good, but it's some of it is, and I just think there's room for improvement as far as making that transparent and having that integrity, that we're not ashamed to put what we're doing out there to the public.
Right. Prospective magistrates, of course, have different expectations, different things they'd like to accomplish. Oftentimes when you're running for a legislative body in nature, it's not just what you can do, but what you can do as a whole. But representing Barren County's 4th district on the fiscal court, you're holding some responsibility there for a portion of the county. What are some things in your district, and then if you are elected as magistrate, that you hope to do for your district?
Well, my district is out Coral Hill Way, Highsville, Gliderville, and just a small portion of the city of Glasgow. I think we come in as far as Davis Avenue, if I've got that correct. But and it includes the school districts for high school, middle school, and Glasgow system, as well as the Highland Elementary and North Jackson. And these are all, areas of concern. Much of my area is going to be farmers naturally because it is in a rural area. But having grown up on a farm, I understand their needs. I appreciate their concerns with roads and infrastructure that allows them to move their large equipment up and down our roads today. As the farming community progresses, the machinery tends to get bigger, and that makes it more difficult for them and a safety hazard for us as regular drivers on the road, and we need to accommodate both.
Right. In a nutshell, how would you describe your personal leadership style?
I tend to be a problem solver. I maybe don't always dream about all the possibilities, but if you've got a concern, if you've got a problem that you want to solve, or a hole you want to fill as far as academics or whatever, I can get on that. It's probably what you'd call an engineering mentality, but I can fix that, and that's just the nature of who I am.
Right. If you had 30 seconds to describe why should I vote for David Steinhaus, Magistrate 4, on the Republican ticket this spring, what would you say?
I'm familiar with your community. I appreciate what you've done here. I want to see this community succeed. If you want transparency, integrity, and moral foundation, then I'm your candidate.
Well, we appreciate you coming onto our program today and participating in this interview. Certainly provides good insight into all of our candidates here locally. And again, thank you for being able to come in and talk about why you're running and allow folks to really get to know you a little bit. So again, we've been speaking today with Mr. David Steinhaus, who's running for the Republican ticket for Magistrate District 4 here in Barren County. Thank you, Mr. Steinhaus.
Thank you, Brennan.